Okay. Thank you for inviting me today again for sharing my views on some of the HR things which we are facing in terms of startups. Today, India is one of the country where a lot of startups are coming up, and everybody is putting money into starting a business and nurturing some ideas. Of course, when you have a lot of startups coming up, you have some of the issues which also comes up with startups. No doubt, there are a lot of startup which get started in India, and most of them get shut down after some time because of this or that reason. But today we will talk particularly about HR challenges which startup faces in India. First of all, when a startup starts the company, it is it is something which is a lot of things happening. It is a happening office where people are coming and they're going to start the work. One of the things which happens is that the processes in startup companies are not built, because this is by the model it is all about. So when startups start, it is in a growing stage, they have investment, they have money, so they go into a particular direction. But when people start coming and joining the company, of course, they find that the initially the processes are not built in. So of course, if the processes are not built in, an employee joins in the company, there's no defined JD for a particular person. Everybody is expected to do multitasking, to do a lot of things which they find on the way. So that means there's no defined JD as such. So when there is no defined JD, what happens is that sometime it is for certain kind of set of people, it is a good thing. For other set of people, it is not. They wanted to do and go to a simple direction. So profile also keep changing frequently from time to time, because whatever comes on the way becomes the priority, and the boss assign that task to you, and you are supposed to do that. So, as I said, some employees are comfortable with this kind of environment, wherein some are not, and they feel discomfortable about it. HR processes are not set, and that is, of course, not the priority for startups at that point of time. So, for them, the priority is getting business and expanding more and more and more, finding more clients. This is the priority for the startup. We found that most of the time the HR processes are not in place. When the HR processes are not in place, of course, certain basic hygiene of HR are ignored. Issuing maybe small things, issuing appointment letter, salary slip, and all that, giving JD, signing it off, documentations, and all that stuffs are not handled properly. And that is, of course, not the priority for the staff at that point of time. But somewhere this makes difference if a startup start paying attention to all that stuff. When the appraisal time also comes after completion of the appraisal cycle, we have found that the appraisals are also not very structured. It is all on what your big boss feels about how you're doing, and kind of investment you have, and the kind of clients you have on board. So these are the things which these kind of thing in terms of HR, the challenges which startup faces. Now, another thing which I'm supposed to talk about is the HR outsourcing as a solution to startups. Whether this is going to help or not, or a startup should have their own HR department. What I feel, I always advocate HR outsourcing for startups, and there are multiple reasons why I do that. Because of course, being in a startup, there is always a need to control the cost in support functions, and they would like to spend more and more money to marketing and branding and expansion. uh, that's the reason I always advocate that having a full-fledged HR department in startup companies is going to be an expense, and that at least startups can avoid. So I will advocate that the HR outsourcing should be suggested as a solution to the startup in place of having HR department. Now, of course, there are very key benefits to having HR outsourcing. solutions, or hiring a company which can provide that solution to you. So first of all, when you outsource the HR requirement, the company to whom you are assigning this task has multiple experts who are in different domains, because HR is also a very wide area. When it talks about recruitment, you talk about employee life cycle management, you talk about payroll, income tax, statutory compliances, HRD. So there are so many aspects to HR now. If you start hiring people from all these domains, of course it's gonna increase your cost to a lot. And I think the work also is not sufficient for all those professionals. So it is always an advisable to have experts on board who will be giving a certain amount of their time and to your company and giving you an expert and right advice. So once you have an outsourcing company in place, your at least your basic HR processes are in place. So when employee joins the company, there is a complete documentation work happening, appointment letter getting signed. So their documents are being collected, letters are being given to them. There's a proper inductions happening, whatever is required to ensure that when person is coming on board, they feel like there is a system in the HR department, without knowing that this particular HR department does not belong completely to this startup, and that particular company is also having clients like this company to whom they are serving in HR field. So when the HR basic things are in place, experts are interacting with the employees. There is a single point of contact to employees from the HR outsourcing company. So that makes at least the startup slightly easy in terms of human resource activities. Second, the company does not need to pay very high bills for HR department maintenance, because the cost is not that high for outsourcing the HR. They also save the cost of infrastructure, the sitting place, the office, the laptop, mobile, all that stuff, because that has been looked after by the outsourcing company, and you need not to pay for that. Sometime I found that even if you have a HR department place, the cost of the space and the infrastructure itself is equal to the bill which the HR outsourcing company gives to you. So it is always advisable for startup companies to have HR outsourcing, so that they to also control their cost. As I already said, they get expert advice in a very low cost at that point of time. And tomorrow, if the company becomes very large, they can think about having their own department or continue doing the outsourcing. That is a choice which startup can make. HR, when the HR is outsourced, the startups need not to worry about the attrition in HR department itself, because if you have hired one particular person and that person leaves, of course, there is a lot of information with that guy and how that information is been maintained, the promises he has done to people. So all the thing goes, and when the new person joins and that person has not been given the correct handover, or maybe when the handover is given, there is always a chance of some miscommunication in between. So it is advisable that we should have HR outsourcing firm where everything is centralized. Even if the people there are changing, there is a process, because they are expert in this thing and they're doing with multiple clients. They have a process to ensure all these things are happening in a proper way. There is a single client account manager who looks after you as a client, and in case there is a change in the manpower, he looks after the handover, things are going, and you are not getting suffered because of that. Moreover, the data and the personal files and all these things are centralized. Even if people are changing in HR department itself, that data is there, and you are never going to lose on data, because these are very important. Initially, startups do not give that much of attention to that, but later on, when there are cases happens when employee leaves the company without any information, or the infra given to the employees are not being given back. So this is again a loss to the HR, to the company. So if you have a proper HR agency, they will look after all these legal things and all that stuff. Moreover, statutory compliances is also one of the very important aspect in India while you're doing a business. So if your legal compliances are not in place, if you're entitled, if you're eligible for PF and you have not taken the provident fund, or the way you take the provident fund and the way you frame your policies and procedure for statutory compliances, whether it is PF, ESI, Contract Labor Act, or it is gratuity or bonus. So all these things are legal requirements, and these keep changing from time to time. So government is changing it from time to time. So if you have somebody who is looking after that aspect also, so legally your company is very, very correct in terms of human resource processes. So that is also one of the advantage which which startups will have when they outsource human resource. So as I said again, I will say that I am an advocate to startups, and I will advise them to have agencies which can help them to and then nowadays there are agencies which does all that thing from employee lifecycle management to payroll to security compliances to HRD. So they should take the services of these agencies, and I think the startup in that case will be able to cope up with their HR human resources related problems. Once again, thank you very much for calling me today and sharing my views on the HR challenges with startup phase, and hope that the audience has learned something from it. Thank you very much.